This is the Tri Swim Coach podcast, where the most difficult leg of the triathlon becomes your friend, leaving your struggles and your competition behind you. TrySwimCoach.com, helping you to laugh at the water.
Welcome to Tri Swim Coach. This is Kevin, and this is episode number 105. And thanks for joining today. In just a minute, I have an interview coming up with Triathlon Taren of YouTube fame, and it was a really great chat. This guy's great. You guys are going to love him. And make sure you stay tuned. Oh, by the way, the audio quality on my end is not so great. For some reason, my audio was being picked up by my computer and not my microphone, so it's a little bit distant, but you can still hear it. So I apologize for all the kind of softer quality there on my side, but he sounds great. And there's an announcement at the end of the podcast, so make sure you stick around to the end for that. And if you like this podcast, I would love it if you could give us a rating and review on iTunes, and you can do that on your computer. You cannot do that on your cell phone. I don't know why that is, but if you open up your iTunes on a computer or laptop, or I think iPad, you can go into find Triathlon or Tri Swim Coach podcast, and you can just click on the rating and review, and it would be awesome. And I'll read yours off on the next show. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up, and it is the kind of off season for a lot of people. So there's I'm talking to someone about running. I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing some running this time of year, and a whole lot of other topics that are really interesting to me lately. So anyway, without further ado, here is my interview with Taren Gazelle, and have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Well, I'm really excited to have special guests on the show today, Taren Gazelle, otherwise known as Triathlon Taren. And he's got an awesome YouTube channel, which is all about triathlon at YouTube. And if you just go to youtube.com and you look up Triathlon Taren, you'll find it. He's got tons of great videos. And he's got incredible content that I think all triathletes can really use, especially the beginners, but everybody. And he's got almost 6,000 subscribers now. So we're going to discuss, among other things, the 5 ways to succeed in triathlon with a busy schedule. So Taren, welcome to Tri Swim Coach.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, jacked up to be here.
Cool.
It's my podcast debut, actually.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'm honored to have you on the show then.
Yeah, honored to be here.
Cool. So can you give us a little background about yourself and how you became Triathlon Taren?
Yeah, well, it sort of happened by accident. I was a business school grad, and like most business school grads do, I went into finance and banking and wore a suit for a bunch of years. And after 8 or 9 years, I just kind of felt like I was in my early 30s and started getting that feeling like, is this going to be life for the next 30 years? Like, am I going to have to put on a suit and tie and just do what I love early in the mornings and on the weekends? And I decided to start a website that was originally called A Race Nutrition. And it was all about triathlon nutrition. And what I really found that I liked doing was actually creating videos for that website. And the website was just doing terribly. Like, I was getting 2 visitors a day, but the videos that I had housed over on YouTube were starting to do really well and getting more traction, and that was what I was liking more. So I ended up canning the website, and then I wanted to go a little bit broader, and people who've been with me for a long time might know me as A Race Taren. So I changed the name of the channel to A Race Taren, and then recently changed it to Triathlon Taren because Facebook deemed A Race as not a very kind thing to say, even though that's not what it was intended for. So I became Triathlon Taren this summer after kind of bumping off the walls. About 18 months ago is when I started putting up my first video, and I'm coming up on 100 videos in a few weeks. And like you say, about 6,000 subscribers, and had some good videos that have done really well over the last year. And having a lot of fun with it. So now I'm not wearing a suit anymore. I don't do Triathlon Taren full time, but it's still on the side and has actually led to me learning a lot about social media and enough that I was able to create a social media advertising company.
Right. So you are actually wearing a suit, just a different type of suit.
Well, it's mostly a wetsuit or a Speedo
Right.
more than anything.
There you go.
Yeah, I put on a shirt with a collar this morning, and my wife said, "What are you wearing a fancy shirt for?" Because I've worn T-shirts almost exclusively for the last 9 months.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, and as far as your videos go, what's like your most popular ones? What are some of your most popular topics?
Most popular topics they tend to be beginner triathlon tips. And the most popular videos actually tend to be like the Rio Olympics. The reviews that I did on that did really well. The previews and reviews that I did coming into and after Kona did really well. But the tips do really well, and specifically the swim tips do really well, which is kind of how we got hooked up. And those videos tend to do well, I think, because like I struggled learning swimming when I got back into it. It took me an hour to swim 14 laps of the pool the first time I got back into swimming, and I coughed chlorine for 2 days. So I identify with people that have a struggle learning to swim, and I guess it comes across as authentic because it wasn't that long ago that I was coughing up half the pool.
Yeah, I know that feeling, and it's funny because when I was watching your videos, I was thinking, well, what better a person to be talking about this stuff than you, because you came from this beginner kind of background. You said you were out of the water for like 20 years, and
Yeah.
I think that's where people can really relate, because like I came from a swimming background. I started Tri Swim Coach out of kind of my expertise in teaching, in swimming myself, and then teaching later, and then coaching. And it's like it's been a long time since I've been at that beginner level, but you've kind of got that in your recent memory. So it's great to see those tips and what you're able to convey in your videos.
Yeah. I guess I guess fortunately for my viewers, maybe not quite as smart as you are with swimming. So I went through as a kid basically just don't drown level 1 and don't drown level 2, and got my starfish or floating badge, and was basically I was afraid of the water when I got back into triathlon. And that day that I went and swam the 14 laps, like I had the images of when I was a kid actually being afraid of the water and really struggling. So yeah, it wasn't that long ago that I was the person that said, oh, I'd love to do triathlon, but I just can't swim, or I don't want to learn how to swim. So I remember what it was like. And a few years ago, I actually ended up swimming. I did a marathon swim of, I'm up in Canada, so I'll use kilometers. It was 27 kilometers in 8 hours. So it's longer than a half marathon. And yeah, like when people tell me, oh, I'd love to do triathlon, but I can't swim. Well, I was that guy. Yeah. So anyone can do triathlon. You just need to learn the techniques. And if you learn the techniques, swimming can be by far what I think is the most enjoyable part of it, especially if you swim with a squad and you learn the right technique and you stop struggling and you learn how to work with the water.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely approve of, I watched your swimming videos and I'm like, yeah, he's dead on right. Like all the stuff you're talking about is so good for people to know. And especially, like you said, the beginners. So that's awesome stuff. Now I'd like to talk about our kind of topic of the day, which is the people that have busy schedules. Often that's another thing you hear a lot is like, how do I squeeze all that in? Or, maybe they're trying to squeeze it in, but they just feel stressed out about that. Like they're not feeling like they're able to do all this stuff. And even people that are training for maybe a sprint or an Olympic distance, it can be a lot to do in the course of a week. So, given your background and what you're doing now and your corporate life, can you talk a little bit about some ways that people can kind of get around that and get more bang for the buck out of their workouts?
Yeah. So, just to give some context, right now I'm starting a social media advertising company, and we're about 33 days old right now, and probably working, I wouldn't call it crazy startup life hours, but somewhere around 60 hours a week. And this year has kind of been similar to that, and doing Triathlon Taren on top of that, and still training for triathlons and doing a half Ironman about 3 days before we launched the company. It became pretty tough, but over the years, I've kind of found that if you make, I guess, big picture, if you make triathlon your lifestyle as opposed to something that you just train for outside of regular life, it becomes a lot easier to fit in.
Right.
So what I tend to do is, like, a lot of my friends, my social group now are triathletes, and it's not like, oh, I'm taking time away from my wife or my friends or work. They're all kind of intertwined, and doing 15 and 18-hour weeks, it kind of just works into my socializing time, and brunches are now with fellow triathlete families, and my wife comes, and work is now intertwined, and the people that I work with help out with Triathlon Taren, and that helps with the training. So that's kind of like a big picture philosophy that I've been able to figure out. That said, it's not very tactical, and that doesn't give anyone tangible tips. But
no, that's great. I just wanted to say, this is kind of reminding me of like how I talk about nutrition. I'm sure you probably have the same thing or same philosophy there, which is that instead of dieting, you want to just you use the lifestyle. Like it's a lifestyle to eat healthy, and going on a diet means that you're kind of always in this mode of like restricting, and I must eat this and I mustn't eat that, and you're really, it's easy to fall off of that. Whereas if you look at it as a lifestyle, it's the same thing with exercise and triathlon. It's like, that's where it's like squeezing in the workout versus it's just part of your life, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying about diet. I've lost a lot of weight over the years, actually about 60 pounds. And when I first started thinking about it, I did the dieting and the boiled chicken and brown rice and just all the miserable things that you do to try to lose weight as fast as you can. And it's a lifestyle of not having what you want, and not even learning a lifestyle of things that you can enjoy to eat. But if you turn it more into a lifestyle of eating fruit, crazy as it sounds, like eating fruit, which is good for you, and eating vegetables, which is good for you, all of a sudden it's not a diet if you turn it into a lifestyle as opposed to a really restrictive diet.
Yeah.
Like triathlon can be the same thing. And the things that I kind of go through is waking up early, doing workouts that are really good bang for your buck, incorporating traveling, like commuting by bike more often, at certain workouts that you can do that will transfer over to not just one sport, but a few sports, and keeping it consistent. Like those are the big things that if you pick away at triathlon training a little bit every day, it adds up to a lot of fitness over the course of a couple of years.
Yeah. So, and you commute to work by bike?
Yeah. So my typical day is waking up at about 4:40, because I usually try to be in the office at 8 or 8:30. So I'll get up at 4:40. I'll commute to the pool by bike, or I'll actually do a hard group workout, and then just leave that group workout and go directly to the office. Or a run might happen at lunch. But I commute every day. Yeah, I put more miles in on my single speed commuter bike last year than I did my car.
Wow, that's awesome. Especially you're up there in the north where it gets just a little bit chilly in the winters.
Yeah, I did one bike last year, and it was minus 35 Celsius.
Oh my God. Wow.
But you know what? I maintain that on average, it's warmer to commute by bike in the winter than it is to drive. Because when you drive up here, it takes a good 10, 15 minutes for your car to actually warm up. So you're sitting there in this little icicle of a car. But by bike, you're only cold for about the first minute.
Yeah.
So I maintain that you're actually warmer by doing it.
Yeah, and it's sort of like what we were saying about nutrition and just the lifestyle in general. It's just becomes a habit, right? I mean, you don't really think about like, should I take my car today or should I take my bike, right?
Yeah, the taking the car ends up becoming a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what I found with the bike commuting was that my base level of fitness is always a little bit higher now.
Hmm.
So, say 2 years ago, when I didn't actually commute by bike, I found that my bike fitness took a long time to come back when the snow went away and I started biking outside, even though I was still doing trainer workouts in the winter 2, 3 days a week. That constant level of bike fitness of doing even just the 20 kilometers every single day,
Hmm.
I came out and all of a sudden I'm that much fitter.
Yeah.
So like my low end of fitness is a lot higher now.
Right. Right.
And that was like an awesome hack that I didn't realize was going to happen, because it took me no more time to get to work by bike than it did driving, because I'm not stuck in traffic.
Right.
And so it's no more time out of the day, but I'm getting fitter.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, so you like the idea of these bang for your buck workouts, and what can you give some examples of what that would be?
Yeah, like one of the absolute best, and I talk about this in my videos all the time, is that brick workouts are your friend.
Hmm.
They're hands down your bread and butter of one of the hardest aspects of triathlon, especially for beginners, is that first kilometer when you hop off the bike and your legs all of a sudden have to support your entire body. If anyone is listening and they haven't done a triathlon yet, you're going to be surprised when you hop off the bike how tough it is to run. I
Hmm.
remember my first triathlon. I hopped off the bike and I hadn't done a single brick workout. I just swam a lot and biked a lot and ran a lot. And I hopped off the bike and almost fell down. And after after the race was over, an official came over who was standing right next to me when I almost fell down. And he goes, "How'd you like that feeling after you hopped off the bike? This is your first race, right?"
That's right. Right.
So brick workouts, because it gets you over that say that learning curve that your body has to go through of rerouting the blood flow from your legs into your entire body, and learning how to do it really quickly, you're not going to have that extremely painful, potentially cramping up, really like getting you into a mindset of how hard the run is going to be. You're not going to have that first few kilometers after the bike if you've done a bunch of brick workouts, and that'll make the entire race easier.
Right.
Because if you can keep yourself from walking or stopping, um, and even just going at a slow running pace is way better than walking,
Right.
because you're losing minutes and like upwards of 5-10 minutes in some cases if you're walking as opposed to running. But even if you can just keep yourself shuffling, and not cramping up, you're going to do a lot better in any race. So brick workouts, I'll do one every single week, even in the off season, just to keep my body used to doing that.
Do you do the swim to bike workouts too?
I tend not to do swim bike workouts. I find that how I handle that is just going into the bike fairly easy in the first 10 minutes, and letting the heart rate just slowly climb up.
Hmm.
And I've always approached the swim from I'm not sure if you have a different philosophy, but I think it's we share a philosophy that the swim can be approached in a very calm manner. And I approach my swims always as a get through it calmly without raising your heart rate too much. So by the time I get onto the bike, I'm easing into the bike. My heart rate isn't that high, so I don't really have a tough time going from the swim to the bike. But it's pretty much exclusively bike to run when I talk about brick workouts.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because there's not really that the term brick is just kind of how your legs feel when you get off the bike, right?
Yeah, if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have those legs.
Yep. And then you're also a fan of the kind of the long rides for endurance. And you mentioned in one of your videos, you mentioned the Maffetone method, which I'm a big fan of as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, the Maffetone method is a method of training, and you typically do it in the off season, like in the Northern Hemisphere for us right now. Late November, December, January is when I'll start doing Maffetone method training, and that's low intensity heart rate training. So you do it's based off of your fitness. So in my case, I am doing a run with the Maffetone method and trying not to raise my heart rate any higher than 140 beats a minute. And however slow or fast I can go, it doesn't matter. I just keep my heart rate around 135 to 140 beats a minute. And doing that really only affects your cardiovascular system, and it gets like the mitochondria and the blood vessels functioning really well. You actually you can probably confirm the science of this, but I think you actually form new mitochondrial pathways, and your circulation becomes really, really efficient. And eventually what happens after a few months of doing Maffetone method training is you end up just going faster at that same slow heart rate. So you might start doing a 10 or 11 minute mile, and by the end of 3 months, you could be doing a 7.5 minute mile, and your heart is not working any harder than it was at the start of those 3 months. So I'm a big believer in that, and doing those long endurance rides and runs, they serve a lot of purpose. And specifically during the race season, I road bike a lot. I just put out a video that more than 3/4 of my training is actually on a road bike. And I do that because I'm able to go out with a few buddies, and getting back to triathlon as a lifestyle. I'll go out with friends for a 4 or 5 hour ride doing 140, 150K. And it's way over the distance than you do in a race. But all of a sudden you get to that race and your cardiovascular system is finely tuned. Doing 90K in a race all of a sudden doesn't seem that daunting. And having that strong cardiovascular system also then transfers over to having a lower heart rate in the swim and a lower heart rate on the run. So it's tough to get in a 5 hour run or a 5 hour swim. But you can do that on the bike really easily, and then also incorporate it into having a good time with some friends. So I love that once a week, super long ride.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard about that was the guy Mark Allen, who was the big champion the Ironman triathlete in the 80s and 90s. And he was talking about how when he first did the Maffetone method, he had to actually walk. Like he would be running at that same heart rate. He had to start walking at first. So it is a bit of a shift, right?
Oh yeah, it's a ego shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just whacks your ego because you think about how fit you think you are, and then you can't control your heart rate, and you end up running some pretty slow miles when you do it. But it comes around, and you can really feel yourself getting stronger after a couple of months.
And then you also talk about consistency and doing it better, having it be better to do a little bit most of the time than a little bit of the time. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So the majority of my workouts throughout a week, I'm probably working out in a race season when I start working out really hard. Only, it would be about 8 times a week. 8 or 9. 9 if you're including a little bit of physio and working out kinks or a massage or acupuncture. But really only 8 actual workouts. There's only that one workout that is the long bike that lasts much longer than an hour and a half. Other than that, everything is probably an hour to an hour and a half swim, an hour to an hour and a half run. I tend not to put in massive miles. My body breaks down. I get injured fairly easily. And what I know hasn't worked for me, that has injured me very, very easily, is when I try to pile on a huge day 2 or 3 times a week and then rest the other days. So there was one year that I only trained, I think it was 4 or 5 times a week. But when I got into those sessions, I wanted to go really hard, and I went for 2-hour plus runs, back to back big workouts. So a big trainer ride followed by a big run, or an hour and a half swim and then a 2-hour bike after. And it just became too much. So what I find works a lot better and is easier to work into your schedule if you're really busy is that getting up early or going out after lunch or right after work or late at night, carving out just an hour, and a very purposeful hour every single day, is a lot better than 2 or 3 times a week or 4 times a week, because your body wants to, I think it wants to move constantly, and the muscle memory ends up becoming a little bit better if you're giving your body a taste of fitness every single day. It doesn't have that day to forget.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it especially applies in swimming, I think, because it's a different environment that if you're not used to it, if you're doing 2 days a week where you're swimming for like 2 hours at a time, and then you have like, 4 or 5 days in between your session, you're gonna lose that feel for the water. So the little bit, even if you could do 20 minutes of swimming every day, that's better than trying to cram it all into 1 or 2 days.
Oh, absolutely. I think that swimming is probably the most important to stay consistent at. I call it the rusty lawn chair syndrome. Like when you even take 3 days off of swimming and go back into the pool, I feel like my body is like opening a rusty lawn chair, that like everything is just like it doesn't want to move into the right place. That hand entry into the water doesn't feel quite right for a while. The catch up at the front of the stroke doesn't quite feel right because you're not feeling the water as closely as you typically would. And I found that I swim 3 days a week now, pretty much no matter what. But there was one year when I did that long swim, I did 4 days a week. And with really just adding that one day, I shaved, I think it was 15 seconds off my 100-meter time. Like it was huge. And I wasn't swimming that much more, and I was actually more tired. I was just adding another day.
Yeah, that's what it takes. Yeah. So, okay. So we're coming up on, October, actually in October already. And so what are your plans coming up? Do you have any training plans like off season or anything signed up for next year? Or?
Yeah, right now we're right around the middle of our off season. We have a fairly short season up in Canada. We're actually getting close to freezing temperatures here a couple days from now. So no triathlons coming up. Our swim group started up again this week, and we're just starting with developing the feel for the water again and getting our form back in shape. So a lot of sculling drills and side kicking drills, just getting that catch settled back in, because it gets pretty sloppy swimming in a wetsuit in open water all race season. So that's what we're focusing on right now. Bikes, I joke that I'm like a tired dog that's been taken for a run right at the end, when like the owner has to be like, come on, and like pull the leash and like go, come on, you can do it. I've got some friends that are racing in Kona right now, and for the last month, that's what they've been like for me. Like, come on, you can do one more long ride. Come on, Taren. Like, so we're right in the middle of the off season. We'll start getting back into it in about a month and a half from now, fairly seriously. And I think next year will be half Ironmans. I really enjoyed that distance after doing the first half Ironman in Duluth at Superior Man in August. I very much enjoyed that distance because logistically there's a lot to figure out. Sprints and Olympics are fun in a puke in your throat kind of way. Like it's just, oh yeah, just a blast. Sprints and Olympics, it's simple because there's not a lot of nutrition. You just kind of go very fast and try not to blow up. In half Ironmans, I found that it was more logistical. It was more about managing your body, managing your pace, keeping a track on your computer, looking at your nutrition. You could actually, depending on the course, you could actually see some sights. And I really, really like that distance. So I think I'm going to stick with that for a little while right now. And it's manageable to still be busy and train for a half Ironman. You don't quite have to get up to the 25-hour weeks that you need to for a full Ironman.
That's right. Cool. All right. Awesome. So yeah, let's talk about your online swim program guide. That was actually how we got connected. You've got this guide that you're putting together, and tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so the plan is I'll be launching triathlontaren.com. Had a lot of viewers that are asking for checklists and tips on things that might not necessarily be well communicated over video, but are better in written form and better in like graph form. And I had nowhere to put that on my YouTube channel, so I'll be launching triathlontaren.com. Taren is spelled Taren. And those types of pieces of content will live on triathlontaren.com. And one of the first things that I thought about, seeing how much my viewers really enjoy all the swim content that I put out, I was thinking back to the programs that I've had success with over the years, and thinking, okay, they've each got their nuances. So your program, Try Swim Coach, has helped me over the years. Total Immersion helped me as a complete beginner, and Swim Smooth has also helped me. But they've each got their nuances that they're good for, and I think that comparing them side by side in a guide will help swimmers at all different levels with all different challenges figure out where they can go to get the right training for them. So that's going to be at triathlontaren.com/swim online. And you can take a look, and we'll actually have a discount code for some of the programs that we could get out to you if you want to go ahead and grab one of those. So yeah, that'll be coming up in November. We're going to try to get that out and hopefully answer some questions, everything from how many videos does each program offer to who is it good for, how much does it cost, is it web-based, can you take it to the pool, are there downloads, everything will be there, and then linking out to your programs if you want to go ahead and sign up for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's kind of overdue. I'm surprised there isn't something out there like that, because I think people get into triathlon, and like we've talked about, swimming is not usually their number one sport, and it's a little difficult to get started in it. And then where do they go? And there's all different directions that people can go. And I think there's a lot of good info out there, and especially when you look at all the video out there, it's like there's just so many things you can learn from. And that's why I always encourage people to check out other resources as well. triathlontaren.com/swim online if you want to check that out. And by the time we release this podcast, that should be up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's about all I had. Anything else you want to add before we sign off here, Taren?
Biggest thing that I want to get across to anyone listening, whether you're a beginner, or I would say specifically for beginners and people who haven't done triathlon period, is that anyone can do triathlon. They're very intimidating, and I actually talked to a rep from one of the supplement companies today, and I think he nailed it on the head. He said that people, I think, are very scared of getting into triathlon because what they see is the pros, and they see Hawaii Ironman, and it's massively motivating. It's such a great event. I was actually lucky enough to be there for my honeymoon. I might have had a little bit of say in where we chose to go for our honeymoon. So we went and watched Kona a few years ago. And it's massively motivating. And I think a lot of people want to get into it, but then they think, oh my God, I couldn't be out on a race for 14 hours, or I couldn't swim 2.4 miles or bike 112. And they're put off by how difficult they think triathlon is. And coming from my background of years ago, it was only about 10 years ago that I was 215 pounds. I literally could not run to the end of the block. I started by running the length of one house, and then walking one house, and then running one house. And I was scared of the water. Like, you would not think that 10 years after that I would have this, like, a triathlon channel and be trying to help people, and actually not, I would say, being fast, but at least being a respectful age group triathlete that I can go to any race in the world and be confident that I'm going to be able to finish it fairly strong. So I think that anyone can and should do triathlon, because it's an absolutely fantastic sport for fitness, and it's also a really good sport for your social life. Like, your friends end up becoming your training partners become your friends. It's so easy to go on trips and have an excuse to go to a race and make that a family destination. It's a fantastic lifestyle, and I think that people should dive into as little a race as they think that they can possibly get through, even just a try that might only be a 300-meter swim and a 13-kilometer bike and a 3K run. That's where I started. And you don't have to start at the Ironman. You can start at whatever will get you started. And I definitely encourage people to get into that first race.
Awesome. And I want to congratulate you on your success, like both in terms of physical fitness and then also just growing this channel and getting, building up this following. I think it's just really awesome to see that.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I got to say that I'd like to thank all my viewers, and it's a great time hearing their successes now. I hear a lot of those stories of people losing a few 100 pounds through triathlon, and hearing people that have found my videos helpful. It's really, really neat. So yeah, check out the channel and get into that first race.
Yeah, definitely check out his channel. All you Tri-Swim Coach people out there that are listening, I highly encourage you to get on YouTube, look up Triathlon Taren. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and it really falls in line with like what we talk about, to laugh at the water and just have a good time out there. And so Taren, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Great stuff, and good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. It's been a blast.
Thanks for listening to another episode covering swimming and triathlon mastery. To get your free online swim clinic, just go to tryswimlessons.com. Give us your name and email, and we'll have session number 1 off to you right away. Begin your process of befriending the swim and laughing at the water now.